Perhaps because of Donald Trump, American politics is never far from the front pages these days. And now comes the news that one of the stalwarts of the Republican Party, Mitch McConnell, is set to retire. Here to have a chat about that and what it means for Australia is regular Sky commentator Kosha Gada. Kosha, thanks for joining me. McConnell hasn't been well, and that sparked rumours that he's about to retire from the Congress over there. What's that going to mean for American politics, and what will there be any implications for us here in Australia?
Hi, Cory. Great to be with you as always. So he suffered from a fall, had a concussion, has been hospitalized for the past 5 weeks or so. He's been absent from the Senate. He is 81 years old, and so retirement rumors are swirling, if not imminently, soon, because he's not getting any younger. As you say, he's been a stalwart of the party. I think he was elected in 1985. He's been the Senate leader of the Republican Party for a long time, 20 years, since 2007, the longest in history. And so, it is going to be sort of the end of an era. He's got a checkered reputation with the base. He's seen as sort of somebody who embodies the establishment. And as you know, the populist wing is ascendant. They don't love that about him. He has been very, very successful with the judiciary, the Supreme Court, as well as the federal bench all the way down, which is something that they do love for him. And if he were to leave, I don't think we're going to see too much of a change, either back home or here in Australia. I think it'll just be marginal, but it'll create an opportunity for this schism that's been building in the Republican Party to spill out into the open as the populists sort of jockey for their issues to get more love, and versus what the establishment pushes that he has sort of been the poster child of.
That's been one of the challenges, hasn't it, in American politics, particularly with the Republican side, is you've got the MAGA crowd, the Trump people who are the populists, I guess, and you've got the establishment figures. Did McConnell bridge that gap at all? Was he a peacemaker in that space, or was he just one of the never-Trumpers?
I don't think he did. And most of the reporting shows that they really didn't like each other on a personal level, in terms of the politicking on most of the agenda. But the one exception to that, as I was mentioning before, is the judiciary. And on that one issue, he and Trump actually worked really, really well together. Remarkably, the Obama presidency left something like 218 vacancies across the bench in the U.S. court system for whatever reason. And they just really worked like clockwork in getting these nominees, conservative judges, confirmed at breakneck speed, including, of course, the 4 in the Supreme Court, and that's the one institution that is a conservative majority. So I think that's one area where they made strange bedfellows and they worked very well together, the Trump agenda and McConnell. But other than that, I think they were sort of frenemies, I think is how many described him.
Yeah, there's many frenemies in politics of all stripes. I didn't know that about Obama, but maybe he thought Hillary was going to win in 2016 and could fill all those gaps. Hey, there was big news this week, the arrest of a young Air National Guardsman for leaking secrets. This bloke is 21. The secrets were very damning. It suggested the American government has been lying to the people about Ukraine. It had it's spying on its allies, a whole bunch of stuff in there. How damaging do you think this is? And is he a spy or just a fool who got his hands on some papers?
I think it is very damaging for a couple of reasons. One is actually, once again, shows, I think, incompetency at the highest levels of the government, because this stuff was floating out there apparently for weeks before it came to the national security establishment's attention, and when it spilled out into the mainstream just about a week ago. But it's been floating out on the internet for a while, and they didn't seem to have a handle on it. Secondly, in terms of the substance of what was leaked, so there's been a lot of discussion about this 21-year-old, and the way he did it was illegal. He's going to go to prison for a very long time. But that's sort of the side story. The substance of what was leaked is quite stunning. Some of the things that you mentioned, and the biggest being the involvement of the U.S. in this war, even potentially kinetically. The leak suggests that there are actual forces, NATO or U.S. forces, inside Ukraine or very close to the border. And that does not have approval from Congress. That does not have the support of the people. Support within the U.S. electorate for this war has been softening quite dramatically. It is down 20-plus points, certainly more by Republicans, but also by Democrats. We don't support the sending of billions of dollars of aid and certainly troops on the ground. So all of that, I think, is spilling out into the open. And with that as a backdrop, some of the revelations from the leaks are damaging. And I think that's why they're sort of scrambling to to take back control of the narrative, with this leak.
Yeah, Kosha, it strikes me the US government and the judicial and the justice system over there was very quick in targeting this bloke because he's shared information that is very damaging and embarrassing to the US government. But yet they can't find the pipe bomber from January the 6th. They can't disclose or find any of Jeffrey Epstein's clients who were involved in pedophile rings. They can't find any reason to charge Hunter Biden with a whole bunch of crimes that are evident on his laptop. This smacks of an unfairness, a bias in the system that really goes to the very heart of American governance and justice.
It does. Actually, that's the other thing that this reveals on top of the incompetence and the fact that the state of play with the war is not quite what we've been seeing. That what you touched on, Cory, is the third thing. And, I would add Stephen Paddock, that mass shooting that took place at the concert in Las Vegas. Still don't know him. The Supreme Court leaker. This has never happened in 250 years of the United States Supreme Court, where the Roe v. Wade decision was leaked preemptively. That was a year ago. Haven't heard that. So yes, the people see this. And as we always discuss, it is not consequence-free. It can continue for a while, and it is continuing. But when the hypocrisy or the difference in standards is so brazen, it is ultimately not a recipe for a harmonious society. And I do worry, as these things pile up on one side of the ledger and never on the other side, there will be some kind of reckoning, and it won't be pretty.
Yeah, I suspect you're right. Kosha Gada, your judgment, as always, is impeccable. Thanks for joining me on Bernardi tonight.